Sophisticated online gaming. It's growing. It's coming to take your children. What the is sophisticated online gaming? Does she think people like wear petticoats and drink tea as they talk about how to maximize DPS in the raid? Gentlemen, the raid shall begin at dusk, and God willing, we shall finally smash Nefarian into pieces. I don't think this lady's played World of Warcraft, because it's a bunch of sweaty men yelling at each other not to wipe the raid for like the 7th time that night. There's nothing sophisticated about that.
This is serious.
This is serious.
Our kids are in danger.
Our kids are in danger! Quick, somebody go to a local news station that has nothing to report on, and let's see what they say.
How much is too much? Well, Pew Research tells us 91% of kids play some sort of video game. Could be on a phone, tablet, console, or computer. Point is, it's everywhere.
Oh my God. Video games are everywhere. What do these devilish machines want with our children? What evil machinations are unleashed amidst their ones and zeros?
Tyler Kerwicki is 13 years old. Like many kids around the world, Tyler loves playing video games.
The creative mode, you can build whatever you would like.
Did you hear that? You can build whatever you like!
But thanks to his mom, video games are just a hobby, not an addiction.
I usually top him out at an hour a day, but I don't let him play video games every day.
Ew, what a bitch. That kid is never gonna catch all the Pokemon on an hour-a-day schedule. Okay, this is something I hear a lot as well. A lot of parents think that video games are this, like, drug they have to drip feed their child. I've heard so many parents say things like, oh, I only limit my child to 1 hour of gaming a day. You know what I have to say to that? Your child will never be a gaming legend on 1 hour a day. I will always kick their ass in Mario Kart. They don't even know how to f***ing drift. Now, look, I know it's highly important to diversify the activities your children are involved in, and having them sitting in front of a screen all day, every day is not good. But imposing arbitrary limits on their gaming is just ridiculous. Sometimes it's appropriate to have limits on gaming time. We don't let my daughter play her Switch at the dinner table, or when we go out somewhere, we don't bring the Switch or an iPad or anything. We're not like iPad parents. But at other times, it's appropriate to let your children play games, such as when they buy a new game, they might want to invest more time in it. When I bought Pokemon Red, I didn't stop playing that game for 3 months straight, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, the only bad thing was that back then, Game Boys weren't rechargeable, so they took batteries. And I went through like one of those mega packs of AA's every single week. And if you didn't have any batteries, you would go to the TV remote and take those batteries out and put the dead batteries in the remote. So my dad would come home and be like, why the can't I watch Law and Order? When I was playing Pokemon Red, I was exploring a vast world, learning about all these Pokemon, and by doing so, I was expanding my reading comprehension, vocabulary, and basic strategic thinking. I don't see what's so bad about that, especially if a kid is excited to play a new game all their friends are playing. This really isn't a big deal. Let's check back in with Tyler and see how this evil Minecraft game is corrupting his soul.
Tiffany Kerwicki says her son has some development disabilities. He's still high functioning, but that's what led her down this path of restricting his game time.
I'm building a giant love sign.
Okay. This is like the 50th time that I've seen this clip, but it always makes me laugh. This child is being corrupted by this evil game, Minecraft. Tyler, show us what you do in this game. I'm making a giant sign that says love. Real talk though, his Minecraft skills suck. Look at this awesome castle village I built in survival mode. Compare that to Tyler's love sign. Tyler, you're not getting the skills to build this masterpiece on an hour a day. Just stop, Tyler.
Tiffany still believes that some video games are detrimental to a child's development.
I think his counselor said that it was like cocaine. for the brain.
Oh my f***ing god. Okay, listen. There are certainly games that are built on a gameplay loop that attempt to take advantage of those prone to addiction, and we've seen a massive rise of these games in mobile gaming. But if you don't differentiate between those games and like actual good games that can enhance a person's life, you're just gonna deny your kid the ability to have a lot of fun and develop significant skills. Luckily, this news program doesn't end on a bad note.
So it looks like not all video games can have that negative impact.
You've got it, brother. That sounds great. You know, let's close out this news program on a positive and thoughtful.
That's right, and that's why her approach is kind of that way. She lets him play educational, kind of creative video games, but those first-person shooter games, those can be detrimental to your brain.
Ugh, Jesus Christ. Shooters rot your brain. That's bullshit. Shooters enhance your brain. Every kid who played the classic Call of Duty games had this experience. You go into history class and the teacher says it's time to learn about World War II, but you've been murdering more Nazis than Lieutenant Aldo Rain since the age of 9. Those were the best days too, when the teacher would like roll in that TV on the cart that's like buckled down. She's like, well, we're gonna watch a Ken Burns documentary on World War II. It's like, yes. Honestly, I thought a lot of this sort of thinking died in the 80s with the satanic panic. You know, I guess it's not all bad, though. At least they're not insinuating that video games turn normal people into mass murderers. I mean, that would just be a ridiculous thing to say, and I think it would.
The CEO murderer has gotten a lot of press, and we found out that one of his issues was a gaming addiction. This guy loved video games.
You're saying that my boy Luigi was inspired by video games to cap that CEO? What, was he playing Mario Kart and he was in 12th place and got a bullet bill or something? Like, what are you talking about? Okay, let's be real here. As a lifelong gamer, do you know how many people I have ruthlessly slaughtered in video games? How many cities I've nuked in Civilization without a second thought? How many children I've assassinated in Crusader Kings to increase the size of my empire? How many men and women I have gunned down without remorse? I have broken every law of the Geneva Convention in video games, sometimes multiple times over the course of a week or even a day. But last week, there was a bee stuck in my house, and I spent 10 minutes getting it outside because I would feel bad if I killed it. They're pollinators. We need to protect them.
And recent studies have shown that if you're a gaming addict, you actually have less frontal lobe circulation. That means your morality goes down.
What is this liver-spotted bitch even talking about? He's declaring, despite a wealth of evidence to the contrary, that video games inherently lower your morality. If that was true, Japan would be a lawless wasteland instead of one of the most technologically brilliant and peaceful nations of the modern age. But what if I'm wrong? What if, despite the fact that I've played video games for 3 decades and become a non-violent pussy, I'm wrong? What if, despite the fact that video games have exploded as the most popular form of entertainment of all time, I'm wrong? What if despite the fact that there are dozens of studies showing it's benign to play video games, I'm wrong? TikTok, do you have some sort of test to show me that I'm addicted to video games?
This is how you know if you're addicted to video games. Even if you say you don't have a problem, you just play for fun, your life looks good on paper, this test will tell you whether or not that's true. The test is, imagine that a film crew captured an average day gaming in your life. They filmed all of the things about the way that you game, how long, how often, things that you do while gaming that no one knows about but you. And then imagine that they showed that recording to all of your loved ones, your girlfriend, your wife, or your future girlfriend or wife, like a girl that you were interested in that you wanted to date. Imagine that they showed it to the whole world. How would you feel?
Okay, for real, if there was like a montage of my Helldivers gameplay, people would say, wow, that guy's really good at video games, and that's awesome. You know what? Let's make a montage. Johnny, show him the montage. Wow, that was wasn't cool at all. What a terrible gaming addict.
Would you feel embarrassed? Would you feel ashamed? Would you feel squirmy? Like there's something uncomfortable about the world seeing the way that you actually live? If the answer is yes, then you are addicted to video games.
Okay, here's something else I see a lot of. People say that those who hide their gaming habits must be addicted, and that's not necessarily true. Yeah, sure, if someone is gaming 16 hours a day, every single day, and they're emptying their bank account into a game, and they feel shame for those actions, and they're hiding it, that's certainly a sign of addiction. But do you know another reason people hide things from their loved ones? Because they're mocked and made to feel shame for just enjoying it. If someone enjoys gaming, but they're surrounded by those who stigmatize the medium, of course they're going to hide their gaming habits. That doesn't mean they're necessarily addicted. It just means that they don't want to be made fun of for enjoying something that is mocked by those around them. And this is even stupider considering we're
porque la verdad, este juego no tiene nada interesante que ofrecer. Pero, indagando un poco más, descubrí que hay mucho que la empresa detrás de este juego esconde. Así que, démosle. El juego, Smash Dude, desarrollado para dispositivos iOS, por la empresa Firesu, es un juego donde te diviertes torturando de diferentes maneras a este monigote. A primera vista, parece uno de esos juegos de 2008 que tenían una estética fea. Pero ¿cómo se quedan si les digo que esto es una copia de otro juego? Como algunos son unos genios que se saben todos los juegos de la Play Store, supongo que ya se habrán percatado que este juego tiene mucha similitud con C4D. Comparemos estos juegos para ver cuántas similitudes tienen. Bien, pues esta tal Firesu le hizo otros dos juegos a este muñeco de trapo. En sí, son la misma basura, solo que con más skins, y así. Lo interesante viene ahora. Revisando el sitio web oficial de los que hicieron este juego, encontré unas cosas que la verdad, no son aptas para sensibles. Obviando el hecho de que han hecho más juegos basura, y que la gran mayoría no están aquí, podremos ver que tienen enlaces a sus redes sociales. Entrando en cada uno de ellos, no podremos encontrar nada extraño, pero en Twitter, la cosa se pone bien turbia. Viendo los tweets, nos podremos percatar que estos hijos del mal han estado promocionando servicios de Bitcoin. Su primer post al respecto fue el 17 de julio de 2019, donde avisan que ahora las compras digitales en uno de sus juegos se podrán hacer con Bitcoin. Luego de esto, unos meses después, empezaron el desarrollo de un juego que supuestamente te hace ganar Bitcoin. Y en sí, es simplemente una bola saltando sobre plataformas. La cuenta que mencionan en este mismo post, por mera coincidencia, fue creada en el mismo año, pero unos meses atrás. Aunque esté inactiva, podremos ver que se llevaría a un evento en Berlín, Alemania. Eso no va al caso, pero cuando tratamos de visitar el link que tienen en su perfil, nos redirigirá a esta página tailandesa que se supone que es para comprar una mierda de casino o algo así, no sé la verdad. En fin, que el 9 de noviembre harían un repost de una cuenta llamada Thunder. Este es el rebranding que hizo Firesu para terminar el juego del Bitcoin que mencioné momentos atrás. Viendo este perfil, me di cuenta de una cosa. O tuvieron la suficiente paciencia para crear juegos mediocres y ganar la atención necesaria para luego estafar a sus usuarios, o fueron comprados por una empresa externa. La verdad que es difícil decidirse, más cuando el sitio en el perfil se parece mucho a esas estafas de donde metes dinero y luego te prometen pagar el doble si sigues metiendo dinero a lo estúpido. Dejando todo esto de lado, me puse a investigar un poquito más, y logré encontrar el lugar exacto donde residen las oficinas de esta pseudo empresa. En esta página del gobierno del Reino Unido, podemos ver todos los movimientos que ha hecho la empresa a lo largo de los años. El 6 de abril de 2021, cambiaron sus oficinas de lugar. Hagamos una comparación. Lo raro de esto es que las oficinas originales estaban en alguna de estas casas. Pero, viendo el nuevo lugar, podremos percatarnos que en sí, esto no tiene nada de oficina. A lo lejos podemos ver lo que creo que es una gran cancha donde se practicaran deportes, o algo del estilo. No se puede ver más el edificio porque solo existen fotos del primer y segundo piso. Bueno, les recomendaría alejarse de este tipo de juegos. Nadie sabe cuándo va a ser el día donde desaparezcan con todo el dinero robado. Pero, se supone que esto era un video de Lost Media, ¿no? ¿Cómo llegamos a investigar una estafa disfrazada de empresa que desarrolla juegos basados en criptomonedas? Bueno, ya en fin, la verdad que no interesa cómo hayan pasado de crear juegos feos a hacer estafas como juegos. Así, y Smash Dude es un Lost Media falso, se puede encontrar en la App Store, no jodan. Viendo todos estos vídeos, uno poco a poco, se va dando cuenta de que la gente puede inventarse mamadas del tamaño de 10 galaxias. No hay peor lugar para buscar información que TikTok, y se los dice alguien que ha estado día y noche revisando estos vídeos, buscando fuentes, y verificando información para poder traerles este video. De verdad que si vas a intentar investigar algún tema aquí, te recomendaría que vayas y replantees tus decisiones en la vida. Y revisando todos estos vídeos de Lost Media encontrada, hubo algo que de verdad, pero de verdad me fastidió a tal punto, que me ardí con toda la comunidad de Lost Media. Los malditos juegos de Angry Birds. No hay video de Lost Media en TikTok que no mencione a un juego de Robio. Y siempre es con la misma tontería de que su estado es perdido. Para ya dejarles claro de una vez, desmentiré todos los juegos que pude encontrar en estos vídeos. Angry Birds original. El primer juego que sacaron de esta franquicia. Angry Birds Seasons. Un juego enfocado en varias épocas del año, de diferentes países. Angry Birds Rio. Juego hecho en colaboración con la película Rio. Angry Birds Star Wars 1 y 2. Lo mismo que el anterior, solo que con Star Wars. Angry Birds Epic. Un juego RPG, basado en turnos. Angry Birds Go. Un juego de carreras. Podría seguir, y seguir, porque la lista de juegos eliminados es inmensa. Y la verdad, la eliminación de estos juegos fue por una tontería. Esta parte me dio una pereza investigarla, pero muchos ya sabrán que hace un tiempo, Robio quería darle un nuevo inicio a la franquicia de Angry Birds. Desde la película, empezaron a sacar juegos con los diseños usados en esta, que si me lo preguntan a mí, se ven bien en la película, pero ya sacarlos de ese formato no queda. Y menos cuando te los quieren restregar en toda la cara, como que si fueran la mejor cosa que hayan hecho en años. En fin, que todos estos juegos son Lost Media falsos, ni se molesten en preguntármelo. ¿Qué más puedo decirles? TikTok es un lugar especial. No solo ha distorsionado mucha de la información que puedes encontrar en internet, sino que ha convertido a gente tonta en más tonta. No lo digo por malo, tú mismo puedes ir a buscar estos vídeos de Lost Media, y te darás cuenta de que esos vídeos son hechos con el único fin de desinformar. No hay otro término, es desinformación, y con eso basta. Bueno, espero les haya gustado este video, la verdad sí estuvo muy difícil determinar ya que varía de la información que les traje fue difícil de corroborar. Pero en fin, denle como locos al botón de like para que les siga trayendo este tipo de contenido, y de paso, suscríbanse, que así me apoyan de gran manera. Nos vemos en la próxima. En TikTok, muy seguramente te habrán salido esta clase de vídeos, mostrando diferentes casos de Lost Media. En este video, estaré desmintiendo algunos de estos vídeos, que contienen datos falsos. Sin nada más que decir, empecemos. El primer Lost Media del que hablaremos, es de Minecraft Story Mode. Como ya muchos sabrán, hay diferentes versiones de este juego y sus capítulos. Esta vez, nos centraremos en la versión interactiva que sacó Netflix para su catálogo. Esta versión en esencia, es la misma aventura que existe para consolas de sobremesa. Tiene una sola temporada, que contiene 5 capítulos, que cuentan toda la historia del juego. Esta serie interactiva salió el 27 de noviembre de 2018, y fue retirada en diciembre de 2022. Como tal, toda la gente que dice que es Lost Media, estaría muy equivocada. Aquí en YouTube, hay un canal que recopiló todos y cada uno de los capítulos con todas sus interacciones. Así que, técnicamente, esto nunca fue un Lost Media. Y para aclararlo, no, la versión de consolas tampoco es Lost Media. Pero, ¿y por qué dicen que es Lost Media? Pues, después del cierre de Telltale Games en 2018, todos sus juegos fueron retirados de las tiendas digitales, y la descarga de estos se deshabilitó. Obviamente que las copias físicas aún existen, hay gameplays y todo, entonces, no hay razón alguna para llamar a este juego Lost Media. Así que finalmente podemos decir que esta serie, /juego, nunca fue Lost Media. No hay mucho más que decir sobre esto, entonces, sigamos con los supuestos Lost Media. Para empezar, ¿de dónde sacaron que Candle Cove es un Lost Media? Estos niños de TikTok y sus estupideces. En fin, que esto claramente es un Lost Media falso, ¿de verdad creyeron que una creepypasta era real? Ni que fuera LOL Superman para que lo estén desmintiendo a cada rato. Bueno, para refrescarles la memoria, Candle Cove es una creepypasta creada por Chris Strop, él ha creado varias obras interesantes además de Candle Cove. La historia es que en unos foros de internet, hubo un grupo de usuarios que recordaban una serie de televisión transmitida en el canal 58, alrededor de los años 70. Trata de una chica que se imagina a sus amigos y a sí misma como marionetas piratas. La verdad que, en TikTok hay demasiada desinformación. Así me veo cuando tengo que hacer un video sobre Lost Media. Esta foto lleva rondando en internet desde hace ya algunos años. Algunos confundirán a esta, Minnie Mouse, con Mickey, pero no, es Minnie Mouse. Se nota cuando nos fijamos en la vestimenta general del traje. No se ven sus característicos pantalones rojos, pero en cambio, podemos observar un pseudo vestido, que ahora que lo veo mejor, no parece eso. En fin, afortunadamente para todos nosotros, esta imagen no viene sola. En marzo de este año, el youtuber angloparlante, Rocky, fue capaz de encontrar más de las dichosas imágenes con el traje. No les daré el contexto completo sobre todo esto, ya que es un tema sumamente extenso, pero sí puedo decirles cómo este youtuber encontró las imágenes. En resumen, logró ponerse en contacto con las personas que tomaron las fotos.
El hombre en la fotografía es mi tío, su nombre es Capitán D. En realidad, él hace tours en cementerios abandonados en un globo de aire caliente. La verdad es un poco raro y de nicho, y personalmente, pienso que él no consigue nada operando esas cosas, pero ese es otro tema aparte. El traje, en realidad es un gran peluche roto de Minnie Mouse, que fue encontrado desechado en uno de esos tours. Atraparon esa bastarda en una línea de pesca. Por eso lo llama Capitán D, porque le inventó la pesca en el aire. La foto fue tomada en un almacén, en Escocia, cerca de unas rocas apiladas.
Hay algunos vídeos también, que les mostraré ahora. Ahora, podemos decir que este caso, si resultó ser un Lost Media. Dejaré el canal de Rocky en la descripción, si quieren ver el caso completo. La verdad que hablar de este tema me da miedo porque, estas cosas de verdad son peligrosas, y puedes encontrarte con gente realmente enferma en este mundo. SnufR73. Hasta el día de hoy, sigue en duda si este video realmente existe. ¿Saben de esas recopilaciones de gore? Tipo, MD, Pope. Esa basura de video es una recopilación de lo peor que puedes encontrar en internet. Hay rumores de que ese SnufR73 es MD, Pope, pero con el orden invertido, pero en realidad es una recopilación de hardcore, un subgénero de estas atrocidades donde niños son torturados o asesinados de las peores formas posibles.
Hasta donde sé, el de pop está prohibido en más de 100 países. Esta película es ilegal de ver, y si te encuentran viéndola, no sabrás qué acción se tomará contra ti. Esta película se considera una película snuff. Una película snuff es una película o video que contiene una colección de diferentes videos perturbadores y videos pornográficos, videos de tortura extrema como Two Girls, Two Cups, One Lunatic, One Ice Pick, etc. Es la segunda peor película snuff jamás hecha. Esta película es producida por Thomas Extreme Cinemagore. Hasta donde sé, ninguna de las imágenes de esa película es ilegal de ver. Y, esencialmente, es solo una colección unida de videos perturbadores al azar. Si no se puede prohibir la existencia de un clip individual, entonces cualquier base para prohibir la película recopilada ya es inestable. Aunque si alguien intentara lucrar con ello, probablemente adoptaría una postura más firme. Dicho esto, encuentro que todo esto no me interesa en absoluto y ni siquiera lo clasificaría como terror. Básicamente, es para adolescentes rebeldes que se retan a sí mismos a verlo y, si eres un adulto maduro sin nada que demostrar, no es para ti. Además, el terror de la vida real no es de lo que trata este sub. Y esas películas tienden a incluir clips de abuso animal o gore de la vida real. Acabo de intentar ver la segunda. Estuve aproximadamente una hora y la apagué. Simplemente me sentí disgustado. Nada más que hombres mutilando sus partes íntimas, mujeres haciendo un montón de cosas con vómito y caca, videos de snuff reales y gente torturando animales. Solo un montón de videos unidos de lo peor y más asqueroso de la humanidad. No la veas, no es algo que realmente necesite ver nadie. Por cierto, toda la película dura 3 horas.
No quiero extenderme mucho en este tema, ya que de verdad, me incomoda bastante. Así que dejémoslo en que es un mito como da full off. La verdad que todos estos temas asquerosos como el gore, han sido demasiado normalizados en TikTok. ¿Quién diría que niños de 12 años te estarían gritando en la cara que tienen el video más perturbador, asqueroso y repugnante de toda la historia de la humanidad? Llegar a ese punto, ya es algo verdaderamente preocupante. Quiero hacer un llamado a todas las personas que usan TikTok diariamente. No dejen que esta clase de contenido siga apareciendo ahí sin algún tipo de contexto. Ya hemos visto cientos y cientos de casos donde hay drama por un video desinformador de TikTok. Y peor es la gente que pide el link para ver vídeos de ese estilo. No lo digo por hacerme el sensible, sino que lo hago para que menos gente esté de tonta diciendo que tiene contenido cuestionable para ganar un poco de atención. Como lo dije anteriormente, no dejen que el morbo les gane. No es nada bueno apoyar a creadores de contenido como estos, que se basan en el contenido gráfico para rascar visitas. Eso es todo lo que tenía que decir. Espero les haya gustado el video, no se olviden de darle like y suscribirse, que así me apoyan bastante. Nos vemos en la próxima.
sure most of you have seen what is called a comparison video. Videos which will, for example, compare the different levels of human pain, compare ghosts from different countries, compare dream facts. There's all types of videos which compare different topics, and they're pretty cool to watch. Watch Data is a YouTube channel which focuses on this type of stuff, comparisons on cool different topics. They did a video titled Comparison Creepiest YouTube Videos on YouTube. The video looks at, of course, the creepiest videos on YouTube, starting with the highest viewed videos and making its way down to the more obscure. The video has the average creepy videos many of you have probably seen before, giving a description of each video along with the number of views it has. The comparison list eventually makes its way to the least viewed video out of all of them, a video titled Play 2, which apparently has 77 views and a description given which reads, User Mother8538 gives the viewer a stark warning that the worst is yet to come. We can also see a screenshot of the video which is someone holding a lighter. Shortly after this video was made, the entire Mother8538 channel was taken down, which of course meant that the Play 2 video disappeared along with it. The Play 2 video supposedly got re-uploaded to another website after its feature on Watchdata, but weirdly, quickly was deleted not long after. This video hasn't resurfaced since. It doesn't seem to have been archived anywhere and has become lost media. What was in this video? Why did it get featured in this creepiest videos on YouTube list? Did it have something bad in it considering it got taken down pretty quickly both times? The only thing that has really been archived is the Mother8538 channel. The channel has been saved through the Wayback Machine and shows the Play 2 video as well as a bunch of others. Although you can't really watch any of the videos themselves weren't archived. None of them really have any views at all, and it's a very obscure channel and it's kind of unknown what it actually was. It also shows that all these videos were uploaded back in 2015. This Play 2 video and the Mother8538 channel itself has become the strangest mystery. Like, literally, what did this video have in it? What were the rest of the videos on this channel? Is it possible anyone saved this video before its deletion and still has it? Everything right now about this video has become a mystery. Recently, I was scrolling through YouTube when I got recommended this video titled 80s Unknown Song. It was uploaded quite a while ago on the 10th of March 2013 by a user who goes by Kiki's Peepees 1. This is the only upload on their channel. According to the description, it's an unknown song. They don't know what it is, and is poor quality because the sample is filtered from another song. This is the mysterious snippet they uploaded. It's only around 10 seconds long. Many people in the comments section agree that this snippet is eerie. It gives off a really strange feeling, and I believe this is just due to how low quality the snippet is and just how strange it sounds as well. I mean, it's so hard to make out. There are always short, mysterious snippets of unknown songs appearing online, but none of them are really this bad of quality. I mean, for example, Ulterior Motives, aka Everyone Knows That, one of the most popular unknown snippets before being solved. It wasn't a long snippet and wasn't the best quality, but you could hear everything and understand it all. It was also a decent snippet being around 20 seconds long. This snippet from this abandoned channel is probably one of the lowest quality Lost Wave songs ever. In this snippet, instruments can be heard which appear to be a pipe organ and perhaps a synthesizer, but it also seems like there are so many other noises and sounds going on in this. It honestly might even be some strange mashup of different songs and media laid over each other. Some people claim to hear voices and words throughout the snippet. The throughout the so much throughout the snippet. The image that is used in this upload originates from the Austrian crime show Kommissar Rex. However, people have done digging and it doesn't seem like this show is related at all to the snippet. Many people believe though that this image might maybe tell us more about the uploader and the song. While it's not connected to the show itself, the image is taken from the Czech broadcast of it on the TV channel Prima. Maybe it perhaps comes from Prima? Maybe, maybe not, but it's just a theory. There have been lots of songs thrown around which people believed could possibly be the song from the snippet. More Spell on You by Eddie Jones pops up a lot. It sounds similar, however, is unlikely to be a match. Another is Shoot Your Shot by Divine, which has similar instruments and sounds. This lead as of now is unconfirmed. As of today, no one has been able to identify what this low quality snippet belongs to. It's a really strange case, considering it comes from like an obscure abandoned channel and just sounds so low quality. It's eerie. This is a case of lost media I talked about in a video ages ago. I wanted to bring back this case since a lot of you might not have seen the video where I discussed this, so this pretty fascinating case will probably be new to you. So let's get into it. A user on Reddit who goes by Opti101 has been in a very long search trying to find a creepy anti-piracy screen from their childhood they remember seeing. They first made a post about this memory back in August 2019, making a post on the creepy gaming subreddit. They had asked if anyone knew what it was they saw, and unfortunately, no one had any answers or were of help. A few years later, in October 2022, Opti101 would make a post again about this strange memory, this time on the Internet Mysteries subreddit. And still, no one had a clue as to what this was and couldn't bring up this anti-piracy screen they got startled by as a kid. Here is what they wrote in these posts. While I'm not entirely sure what this anti-piracy measure was for per se, I've always had the memory of it vividly in my head. When I was little, my dad used to torrent stuff, like a lot. And because it was the early 2000s, ridiculous, creepy anti-piracy measures were a lot more common at that point than they are now. Since you guys seem to be pretty good at tracking weird shit down, I suppose you could help me work out what game, piece of software had this. Here's what I remember. My dad was trying to use a serial key, remember those, that he found on some illegitimate website to unlock a piece of software. The software in question, I believe, is some sort of video ripping program for early Mac OS X. It turned out that the key was a fake or something though, because as soon as he pasted it in, a very loud text-to-speech voice came on through the speaker, causing a very young me to rapidly avert my attention from my Legos and look at the computer. I remember the voice saying something like, "It isn't nice to steal shareware, you know," or something similarly condescending, before his browser automatically opened with a black screen with red graffiti-esque text on a black background that said Pardo was here, and then the current date. Funnily, I then remember my dad silently panicking and trying to close the window and then deleting the thing he was trying to torrent. I have asked my dad about this and he totally recalls the incident, but also can't place what exactly he was trying to download. I actually got most of these smaller details from him, but the main thing I remember from when I was a kid was that damn Pardo was here screen. Something about that randomly popping up on the screen really unsettled me as a kid for reasons I can't explain, considering, you know, it was just text. Does anyone have a vague recollection of what this was, or perhaps the name of it? It would be greatly appreciated. Edit, rough approximation of what I remember it looking like. OP would state further in the comments that the program was a DVD ripping tool of some kind, obviously not sure what it was or what it was called. I honestly completely understand why this would be a strange and for sure a pretty scary memory. The "it's not nice to steal shareware" voice unexpectedly blasting through the speakers while pirating stuff, that would definitely be quite memorable. It's been years since this was posted and unfortunately nothing has been uncovered. Suggestions and ideas have been given, but these don't seem to be or have the unsettling "Pardo was here" screen. I wonder if this will ever be found. I honestly hope it does because it sounds really interesting and would be some good closure for the original poster. A user on Reddit who goes by Isai Void created a post on the Internet Mysteries subreddit in hopes they would be able to rediscover a long-lost traumatic YouTube video. The post title read, "There was this strange potty animation that traumatized me as a kid. I've looked everywhere and for years now, but I just can't find it. Before you comment, what I'm looking for is not Tears for Toilet by ABCs of Death, nor does this have anything to do with Elsagate. This was a lot shorter and followed a very straightforward narrative. My parents tried looking on YouTube for videos to help potty train me back when I was a toddler in 2006-2007. After a few minutes, they stumbled upon one that caused me to scream and cry whenever I saw it, yet begged to watch it again once it was over. After the video's title card, I think it might have been like toilet time or something, there was a shot of a very clean looking bathroom with black and white checkered tile floors, a toilet to the far left, a sink and mirror in the center, and a door on the right. A slender, fuzzy, and blue figure entered through the door. He was animated via stop motion. He waddled up to the mirror and took a long gaze at himself. There was a close-up on his face with a locked, contorted smile that always haunted my dreams as a little kid. After several uncomfortable seconds, he went to the toilet. His pace quickened as if he was afraid of his own reflection, and opened the lid. Immediately, as he looked down into the bowl, a few large tentacles emerged from the toilet and grabbed at him, pulling him into the water head first. After a brief struggle with the lights flickering, he was gone and the bathroom had returned to normal. Then I remember a credits roll. This sounds so strange, and honestly pretty funny. I can relate to this person, honestly. When I was a kid, the weirdest and dumbest faces used to terrify me, so I wonder what that close-up face looked like that apparently haunted his dreams. Despite a pretty detailed description given, no one was able to help this user with finding this video. Many suggestions would be given by different users, but almost every time, OP would deny the suggestion being the video he remembers. Could be a bump in the night episode. One of the characters is a blue monster who lives in a toilet. Look for Squishington's toilet house. I'm pretty sure this is it. I checked it out, and though Squishington's bathroom looks similar to how it did in the video, the blue guy was human-sized and didn't talk, nor do I remember any other characters. Thank you for your comment though. No idea, but I found this. I actually did find that while I was combing the internet for it, but thank you. We all have some strange piece of media from our childhood that really frightened us. However, nowadays, you can't find anything about it and almost seems to have just vanished completely. I remember as a kid watching this video that was something along the lines of creatures on this earth, showing supposed sightings and images of weird, strange animals. And the video cut to this really gross and terrifying looking mermaid. It was such a curveball compared to all the other creatures in the video, and it genuinely unsettled me so much. I remember not being able to get the image of it out of my head. I haven't been able to find this video since. I don't know if it's been deleted or not, maybe it wasn't and it was just an incredibly obscure video. The unfortunate answer could possibly be that the uploader probably deleted the video. If that's the case, it's probably going to be really hard for this person to find their strange potty animation. Hopefully, this user will be able to find this animation soon. A while back, I talked about a video on YouTube titled XXXXXXX. This is a video uploaded back on November 7th, 2006 by a user who goes by Cedilo Montez, if that's how you pronounce it. The video still to this day is a pretty obscure mystery. It's an extremely weird Christmas video which was discovered not long ago. Someone had come across it randomly, and when they found it, the video only had a couple of views despite it being on YouTube since 2006. It was quickly posted onto the Deep Into YouTube subreddit where intrigue for it would start to grow. I'll play the video now for you to watch. It starts quite loud, so I'll put a counter in so it's hopefully not too startling. It's definitely a strange video for sure. It's honestly kind of crazy that this video stayed hidden and unseen on YouTube for well over a decade. It's so unique and has the weirdest art style, but it's honestly kind of cool. But what exactly is the mystery here? Well, many people believe that this upload of it on YouTube is not its original origin. Most users online agree that this video definitely came from somewhere else. This video is the only upload on the channel. There are no similar other videos, and with it not being in full screen at all, and the way the video abruptly starts and abruptly ends too, it really seems like this upload is only a small portion of the video. If this isn't the original source, what is? Who was the creator of it, and where did this crazy video actually come from? This video got uploaded all the way back in 2006, almost 20 years ago. There's honestly a good chance that it might be way older than this. There's a lot of different theories as to where this video may have come from. Back in the day, people would send strange and obscure media to other people's emails for jokes. There is a theory that perhaps this was a video that jokingly passed around through email. It is theorized and said to have maybe come from some other video website. The main theory is that this was a video that was originally on Newgrounds. Newgrounds is a website where users can showcase all sorts of media they create. It was very popular during the 2000s, and a lot of strange animation videos have been uploaded to this site. When I did talk about this around a year ago, a lot of people made claims to have once seen it back in the day, and have apparently seen it on Newgrounds. According to a comment that was written, apparently the video was named Happy Holidays. and it started out with a Newgrounds logo cutting to a screaming Santa. They stated that after the bell scene at the end, it just showed text saying Happy Holidays, and it ended. They stated it got deleted in 2007 due to all the bad reviews. They also stated it was created in 2004. Maybe this is true, maybe not, just a comment that was made. The claim that the video was created in 2004 can be questionable, as there is sort of proof that it was created in 2005 or later. A Reddit user who was fascinated with this video decided to create a Google Doc trying to find the images used in the video. It was going well until they eventually got stuck at this image, the Santa and soldier in a Jeep image. However, after giving up and coming back sometime later, they eventually found its origin. It came from a website that sells miniatures from historic wars and such. And the website says this miniature the image was taken from was released in October 2005. So this is pretty much proof in my opinion that the video at earliest was created in late 2005. I would love to know where this weird video came from and who made it. Is there more to this animation? What other videos has the creator made? Because this is really interesting, this video. This is pretty much proof in
bootleg copies of movies, the ones they warned us about from like you wouldn't download a purse or whatever. These are essentially unofficially released versions of films, and full disclosure, I don't pirate anything. And I'm not just saying that for YouTube's sake. I mean, I don't really watch actual TV, and I can only access the stuff I want to watch anyway. And still, I only really watch YouTube, which is free anyway. But I still want to take a look at bootleg copies of movies, specifically bootleg DVDs, which are pretty much dead thanks to the internet, because you'd still have to pay for a bootleg DVD, just a lot less than a normal DVD. But just by looking around sketchy parts of the internet, you won't have to pay, and you'll also install 50 fucking viruses. Now, I own a couple of these. Now, to clarify, I'm no lawyer who could have guessed. I mean, YouTube videos about cartoons and stuff. But I don't think it's technically illegal for me to own these. I mean, I'm a victim here. When I bought all these, I was sold them as if they were perfectly real. How was I supposed to know this is fake? Looks perfectly legitimate to me. I can't sell these though, because then I'm selling a bootleg product, so I'm stuck with these now. Anyway, now on to the types of pirate copies, starting with cam copies.
Do what you want because a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
These are about as unofficial as they get. The basic concept of a camera is a guy, or girl, this is a gender-neutral crime, goes into a movie theater and sneaks in a shitty camcorder, then hides it somehow and hits record. Boom, now he has his very own copy of Shark Tale. Now, while these are all a good way to watch a movie, fucking no. But I can't lie, there is sort of a charm to these. You get to hear the audience reactions to a movie you might have never been able to experience in theatres, or witness people's first reactions to now famous movie scenes. Not to mention the thrill of knowing, ooh, this guy could be caught at any moment, and when it does happen, breathtaking. Now, I only had 2 experiences I can remember with cam copies, and that's when I was on vacation somewhere like Turkey. I don't know if it was Turkey, but it was somewhere like that. And there was a guy selling DVDs of movies that weren't out yet. Oh my god, this is crazy. These movies must have already come out on DVD here. So I bought Ghostbusters 2016 and Ice Age Collision Course. And they were shitty cam copies that were unwatchable. I don't have them anymore because why would I keep them? But they came in a sleeve like this and sort of looked like this. Yeah, this isn't a good way to experience these movies, but is there even a good way to experience these movies? Probably not. Now, how do these people get caught? Well, some movie theatres have begun offering rewards to employees who are able to catch people recording movies. Things like £1,000, which is likely going to increase the amount of people caught and makes sense from a movie theatre's perspective. If there's a free version of the movie they're charging you to see online, why would people pay to see it? So they'll lose a lot of money. So spending a tiny bit of money in comparison to try stop it makes sense. There's also hidden patterns of dots on the screens that differ from theatre to theatre, so that you'd be able to see which movie theatre a cam copy came from by looking at these dots. You wouldn't usually be able to see these, but if you knew where they were and how to find them, then you'd be able to find the theatre. Some theatres also have night vision technology to catch people recording in the dark. So cam copies, to sum it up, are basically someone recording the movie in the theatre and hiding the camera, which results in dog shit quality, poorly cropped footage, terrible audio since it's just using the camera's mic, audience noise, potential silhouettes, and yeah, this isn't a good way to watch a movie. Moving on, we also have telesync. Telesyncs are much better quality than cam copies. For starters, a telesync is recorded with a direct connection to a sound source, meaning the audio isn't being recorded through a microphone in the theatre, it's just being recorded straight from the source, which won't just make it higher quality, but will also get rid of any audience noise. Telesyncs are also usually recorded with a better camera on a tripod in the actual projection booth itself, meaning the angle will be better and there won't be bad cropping or silhouettes of people in the way. But also means it will likely be done by an employee at the theatre, so it's a much higher risk, because if they get caught, they'll lose their job, and that won't be a great look for them in the future. The camera settings are also usually altered so that it shoots in 24 frames per second, like how the film would be running, so they match, and the exposure and all that would be better. Here's a comparison between a cam and telesync.
Squidward tentacles! Squidward tentacles!
Now next up is a telesyn,
Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
which is essentially when someone makes a copy of the actual film using one of these telesyn machines. These are like the best quality ones and are basically the same as what you'd see on a DVD, since it is basically just a copy of the actual film. However, these are incredibly rare due to the fact that to actually get a telesyn copy, the bootleggers would need a copy of the film and also a telesyn machine, which, I mean, both those things are quite hard to come by. And so most of the time, bootleggers opt for one of the other options. There's also work prints, which is like a rough, unfinished version of the film, generally with stuff like times and watermarks on the screen. You know how the entire Plankton movie that's not out yet leaked on Twitter? Yeah, that's a work print, and I'm not going to show a single frame because Viacom would absolutely nuke my channel. These are ultra shiny rare and don't happen often. Happened to 2 SpongeBob movies in a row before they came out though. Also, supposedly, there's an early version of Flushed Away featuring 2 Rat Butler guys that are cut from the film, which was released on bootleg DVDs as Flushed Away 2. Just wanted to mention that. I mean, it is lost right now, but still, now we get to straight up rips of DVDs. Like, I have one of Click, and it's just the same as a normal Click DVD. Oh really? These are just the same as normal DVDs, but they'd be cheaper. That doesn't matter now. Guess I'll just add this Click to the ever-growing pile of Click DVDs. Anyway, that covers the types of bootleg DVDs. Now, I thought it'd be interesting to go over instances where bootleggers were caught. Starting off with a video from WXYZ-TV Detroit Channel 7 titled Bootleggers Caught at a Local Movie Theatre, which is a news report about, well, bootleggers being caught at a local movie theatre. So this happened at a Star Theatre in Clinton Township, Michigan, where there were 2 guys trying to film a movie. They were caught while doing it, and this gives us a pretty good look at their setup here. They were using a Sony camcorder. Now, I'm no camera expert, but from what I can tell, it appears to be this camera, the Sony HDR-CX430V high definition flash memory handycam camcorder, which was released back in January 2013, so it makes sense with this news report being released in October 2013, but feel free to correct me. Anyway, they had this clamp here that they used to attach it onto the armrest of the theatre seats. Once that was set up, they covered it with a towel so they couldn't get caught. I mean, it didn't work, but still. The specific movie they were attempting to film was the 2013 movie Gravity. Now, the way these fellas got caught was thanks to the previously mentioned hidden watermarks that were used to track down the exact theatre that some of their previous bootlegs were filmed at. So a private investigator was sent to the theatre and was able to catch them. Now, I can't find what ended up happening to these specific guys, but the news report does give us a little insight as to what might have happened. Boom! So for first offence, it'd be a $10,000 fine and 1 year in jail. Then it doubles for second offence and doubles again for third offence. So, not great. Anyway, these guys were posting these movies online. So how about we look at someone selling bootleg DVDs?
Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free.
This event took place in 2011 and happened in Polk County, Florida. There was a whole crime ring involved here, and 8,000 bootleg DVDs were found. We get to see some photos that give us a behind-the-scenes look at the operation here. Our first image simply shows a stack of bootleg DVDs that were apparently being sold for half the price of regular DVDs at the time. Our second image shows us stacks of the same movie, so we can see some of the stuff they were selling. We have Rio here, Green Lantern here, Scream there, and many more. We also have the most interesting image, which for some reason seems to be taken by the same guy who posts Smash Bros leaks online because it's really blurry. But we can actually see stacks of cases and sleeves for movies over here, along with a shit ton of blank DVDs ready to have movies burned to them over here. Also, these guys were buying these DVDs for like $1 each and selling them on Amazon and eBay as legit, thus making a load of money, up to 20 grand a week, goddamn. They in total made $500,000 from this. Now, what if I told you that bootleg DVDs aren't actually a dead thing? You might be surprised, but also maybe not. It's a little different nowadays, with lots of them just being releases of things that never actually had DVD releases, and also some are VHS releases. But most of the time, people buying these are fully aware they're not real. It's more that they just want to own a physical version of some of these. Like, no one is buying a Has-Been Hotel VHS thinking it's a 100% official Amazon product, but sometimes bootleg DVDs are sold as legitimate, like these Bob's Burgers DVDs I saw in a video. It's still a much smaller problem than it was back then though. Anyway, thanks to the Twitter account Theatre Bootleg Archives, they also have a YouTube channel you should sub to. This video is great, and that about wraps up our adventure into the world of bootleg DVDs. These things are cool to look at knowing the story behind them, but they're an almost dead art at this point with the internet existing. They're a terrible way to watch a movie. I don't think anyone enjoys watching these, but if you wanted to watch Jack and Jill at home before it finished its theatrical run, you'd have to settle. Also, why? What's wrong with you? Anyway, watch Our Stupid School. It's a show I made, and I'm in. Look, here's a cam copy of it. Dubbing is a process in which a piece of media is translated into another language and voiced over with new audio in that language that matches the lip syncing of the original piece of media in order to create a new version of it in that language to be enjoyed by a whole new audience. Usually, there are very rare occasions when things receive a dub of their original language. For example, Peppa Pig, which is a British show that is in English, received an American dub that just makes all the characters American. And also Paw Patrol, a Canadian series, has a British dub. But usually, it's done to bring a piece of media to a new audience. Now, most of the time, dubs are officially licensed and done with the consent of the original company. All the dubs you'll see on like streaming services, digital storefronts, and official physical releases will be a licensed dub. However, there are sometimes illegal, unlicensed dubs made for things without the consent or knowledge of the original creators. This can be done for a multitude of reasons. Sometimes it's just a fan project created purely out of passion by people who love the original work and want to show it to a new audience. This is done lots with like YouTube and internet content, since a lot of it isn't dubbed by the original creators, but also it is occasionally done with shows and movies, like the fan-made Russian Smiling Friends dub. Another reason is money. If a piece of media doesn't have a dub in a certain language, or the thing is yet to officially release in that language, since, you know, movies have different release dates internationally, for whatever reason, that's an entire group of people who will have never seen this thing that you can sell it to, and the thing has already proven to be successful and well liked by people. Dubs like this are generally distributed on bootleg DVDs or piracy sites, but in certain places they are actually shown on TV. These dubs are usually done by like shady companies in countries with less strictly enforced copyright laws. However, I think the most interesting unlicensed dubs come from North Korea. I'm sure everyone is aware of what North Korea is like. It's a totalitarian dictatorship in which everything is controlled by the government, even things like haircuts and how you can dress. Now, obviously, this includes all media in the country, all TV shows, channels, movies, books, news, games, websites, etc. are controlled and owned by the government. This obviously means that access to any foreign media is banned, and if you do access foreign media, you can be punished pretty harshly, unsurprisingly. However, interestingly, some pieces of foreign media have had unlicensed dubs created by the government to be released onto DVDs in North Korea, and certain ones are occasionally shown on the state-owned channel Mansudae Television. Now, North Korean Korean is slightly different to regular Korean, given the fact that language evolves, and North Korea is so isolated and has been separated from South Korea for so long that their language hasn't really evolved. These North Korean versions are all created by the company
목난 비디오,
known in English as Mokron Video, which is a recording and distribution company founded back in December of 1992 by the government of North Korea, which was at the time led by Kim Il-sung. According to an archived page about Mokron Video on the now defunct KMVC5.com, which was a Hong Kong-based site that specialized in spreading the multimedias of the Mokron Video in Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Mokron Video is the only company that has the rights to produce, sell, and manage copyrights for North Korean documentary films, science films, art films, children's films, TV compilations, stage compilations, and music. They have produced many unlicensed dubs of foreign films from companies like Disney, Illumination, and DreamWorks, along with also releasing subtitle versions of some films that retain the original audio and just have Korean subtitles on the bottom. I'm not entirely sure why some are dubbed and some are only subtitled. Usually when things are translated into Korean, a lot of the time kids media receives its own Korean dub, and things made for adults just have subtitles, because, you know, kids don't really want to read subtitles. Obviously not all the time, sometimes things for adults are dubbed, but pretty much all kids media gets dubbed in Korean. However here, films like Shrek, Moana, and Ratatouille are dubbed, but films like Despicable Me, Finding Nemo, and The Incredibles just have subtitles. So, not really sure why. The way these films are distributed is via DVD, and there is a video by Korean Central News Agency, which is the state news agency of North Korea, that has been reposted to YouTube by user KNCA Uploader, which showcases the process in which the DVDs are created. It shows the factory, where we see someone on a computer using a program that I think is called Image Copy. The video is only in 360p, so it's hard to make out, but I think that's what it says. Then it shows the same person using this big machine and going through the process of creating a master copy of a disc, which they then take down to this room full of big machines where all the DVDs are produced, so they can make multiple copies. Then a label is printed, and boom, the discs are done. Cool. The process of actually making a DVD is unsurprisingly the same in North Korea as it is everywhere else. However, the way they are sold is quite interesting. You can't just buy these in any regular old store like you can, or I guess could, not so much now, elsewhere. They are sold in these special stands that were set up in various locations around North Korea by the state and only sell DVDs. As of 2012, there were 50 of these stands in Pyongyang. One of these stalls can be seen briefly in this video, seemingly having the Mokron Video logo on it, but again, the video is in 360p, so. They also interview the woman working at the stall, who is called Ri Eun-hyang, and interestingly, we can see a bunch of movies behind her. Because of the video's quality, it is impossible to actually make out what any of them are, but still. There's actually another higher quality YouTube video showcasing one of these stalls from the channel Jaka Parker, called Buy Disney DVD in Pyongyang, North Korea. In the video, a person visits one of these stalls to buy a DVD, and we see it from a first-person perspective. Interestingly, you can't just access the DVDs like a normal stall, where you pick something up and just be like, can I buy this? Instead, they're all inside, and you could only look at them through the glass, with the guy in the video having to ask to have a look at a selection. The packaging of these North Korean DVDs differs from that of other places, since they don't come in the regular hard plastic case you'd expect, and instead are in these sleeves. Now, what's interesting is that some of these discs appear to contain multiple movies, since they seem to have pictures from multiple movies and list multiple titles. Now, I don't know if this is actually the case, since I don't speak Korean, and information on these is pretty scarce, given the nature of the country. However, I did find a North Korean copy of Snow White that directly has the Lion King after it also, so from what I can see, that appears to be the case. The prices of these movies apparently range from 4,500 North Korean won to 10,000 North Korean won, which is the equivalent of £3.73 to £8.28 in British pounds, or $5 to $11.11 in US dollars, which seems fairly cheap to be honest, especially if there's multiple movies. But it should also be noted that most North Korean Koreans live in poverty and are literally starving from being unable to afford food. In 2020, it was estimated 60% of North Koreans lived below the poverty line, so these movies would be a luxury item. So what is a North Korean dub like then? Well, let's take a look at some, starting with Shrek. Interestingly, all 4 Shrek films have been released in North Korea, with the first one being referred to as Shrek Part 1 instead of just Shrek. The DreamWorks logo has been removed here, and it's labelled as a foreign cartoon movie, not stating who specifically made it or which country it's from. The iconic opening scene has been changed also. They cut out all the scenes showcasing the names of the original cast, and also changed the music to this, which, if you're curious, is opening traveler music from the soundtrack of Ice Age. No clue why this song specifically was chosen, but they probably replaced the music due to the fact they were cutting scenes and leaving the original audio would sound odd since random parts would be noticeably cut. Also, I've been showing footage like this for your viewing pleasure, but the original looks like this. Weirdly, the entire thing is in 4:3 for some reason, with the Mokran video logo in the top left the whole time. Also, all songs remain in English, simply having Korean subtitles, including the song sung by this guy. Some other parts also retain the original English audio, like when Lord Farquaad screams here. Also, as you might have guessed, the credits of the film were cut too. Now, the Shrek movies are notable for their many references placed throughout the films. References that no North Korean citizen will understand, since it's a reference to something they will have never seen. So obviously, some parts were changed, and just a disclaimer, I don't speak Korean, and so I watch these with auto-generated Korean subtitles translated into English, which might possibly be the worst way to watch Shrek ever, probably even worse than the GBA version. But here are some interesting examples of changed parts from the franchise. Donkey's line from Shrek 1 after Lord Farquaad is killed
Celebrity marriages, they never last, do they?
was changed to a wedding with calculation at the forefront. It always ends like this, since there's like not really North Korean celebrities. And in Shrek 2, a shot where Prince Charles is shown on the fairy godmother's mirror during the scene she meets Fiona is cut. Now, the Shrek franchise is set in a fictional place, and so the location didn't have to be censored in any way. However, there are other films released in North Korea not set in fictional places. One notable example is Disney's 2008 movie Bolt. This is notable as Bolt follows a dog who has to travel across America, and North Korea doesn't really like America all that much. And so when the film released in North Korea in 2012, all mentions of America or any place in America were cut. For example, this sign that says West Springfield and North Chicago only displays the text North and West in Korean. The Welcome to Missouri sign is just left blank, which looks odd, and this sign saying New York, New York was just blurred out, which looks even odder. And these signs, when Bolt arrives in New York, were also left blank, just to name a few. Now, credit where credit is due to North Korea, the dubbing here is actually pretty good, and the lip syncing matches most of the time. You know, it's not the worst dub in the world. To finish off the video, I'm going to tell you every film currently translated by Mokran Video. Firstly, the ones that were worthy enough of receiving their very own dub. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which appears to be on the same disc as The Lion King for some reason, as they play directly after each other. The Korean text translated on the disc lists both The Lion King and Snow White, along with Alice in Wonderland, which isn't actually present, at least in this version I found. All 4 Shrek movies, 101 Dalmatians 1 and 2, Bolt, Cinderella 1, 2 and 3, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Ratatouille, Frozen 1 and 2, Over the Hedge, Raya and the Lost Dragon, Moana, the 2016 movie Ballerina, also known as Leap in the USA, Kung Fu Panda 2 and 3, presumably also the first one, however that has never surfaced anywhere, Animal Crackers, which is a movie that released on Netflix in 2020, Encanto, How to Train Your Dragon 2 and 3, again presumably also the first but it hasn't surfaced anywhere, Inside Out, The Lion King 2, and which is a Russian sports drama released in 2020. There's also probably more that we don't know of. Then the subtitled only releases that retain their original audio, which are The Lorax, The Incredibles, Aladdin, Despicable Me 1 and 2, Happy Feet, Shark Tale, Zootopia, Frozen 1 and 2, which I know I listed as dubbed, but strangely it was seemingly released both ways, Tangled, Open Seasons 1 through 3, Finding Nemo, Up, Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure,